Hola, mujeres. Since March is Women's History Month, in today's episode, we're chatting with a local Latina who has overcome her own challenges and has become a well known individual in our community. This courageous Latina is Paola Mendivil. Paola is the Bilingual Business Development Officer at Grow, where she provides access to affordable and responsible working capital loans to small businesses in West Michigan. Additionally, she's the vice president of catering for her family's businesses, El Granjero Mexican Grill. Born and raised in Mexico City, Paola moved to Grand Rapids, Michigan in 2005. She earned an associate's degree from Grand Rapids Community College and a bachelor's degree in business administration from Ferris State University. Paola received the university's Pacesetter Award in 2021. Also, Paola is a non-traditional first-generation college grad passionate about providing personal growth opportunities and connections for her networking circles, including the Latina Network. And she also serves on the boards for the Arts Marketplace and the newly formed Michigan Latino Restaurant Association. In 2024, so just last year, Paola was named Crain's Grand Rapids 40 Under 40 and received the Detroit Lions Hispanic Leadership Award. Paola lives on the west side of Grand Rapids and with her husband, Alberto, and their children, Alan and Ian. So con eso, we want to welcome Paola to our podcast and get us started because we want to learn a lot from you, Paola, today.
Oh, thank you so much, ladies. Excited to be here.
Yes. So as I mentioned earlier, in honor of celebrating Women's History Month, we want to kick off the conversation with the powerful bond that you and your mom have. So our first question to you, Paola, is your mother's journey and sacrifices played a crucial role in your family's path. So what lessons did you learn from her that you now apply to your own life?
Oh my God, yeah, she's awesome. I love when everybody's always asking me about her, like, where's your mom? Where's your mom? Because she has this like soul dedicated to helping other people. She comes from very humble beginnings. Like I'm telling you, childhood with literally maybe sometimes not a roof over her head. No shoes, no food. And the way she survived those challenges were with my great-grandmother's love. So at that time when she was little, my grandma, went to work as a single mother and will leave all the kids with her mom, so my great-grandmother, and that's the love that my mom learned to live with. She tells me the story that when she was little, other kids were drinking Coca-Cola from the glass bottle because that was the thing, and they were so poor they can't afford it. So my great-grandmother used to make coffee and will give them little coffee in the glass bottle. So my mom will feel like she's drinking Coca-Cola like everybody else, but in reality it was just coffee and things like that that she now knows it was out of love. And so I think my mom's most important value is abundance. She always trying to do something for somebody else, and she's never been selfish. She's never been, oh, me first, and maybe I'll help you. She's the opposite. And so we can see that through her businesses. We can see that through the family, through her team. She never calls them employees. They're their family too. They are her team. So I admire that from her. And I think that inspired me to always want to help other people as well.
Love it. I like that. Her value is abundance. And with Paola, I feel like we have, passion also about entrepreneurship. So I'm excited to ask you this question. So, your journey at Granjero started unexpectedly from the little bit, that we know about you. And also stepping in to support your mother from being the badass that she is. But as you've been having to have those different roles with her in the restaurant industry, when did you start to realize that entrepreneurship was your passion?
I remember growing up, people would tell me, "You're very good with people. You should be in HR, and you're good with like systems, and you should be in HR." And I didn't even know what that meant. But when we had the opportunity to acquire the business, the restaurant, we moved in 2005, as you say in my bio. So I've been here 20 years, and it was always my mom's dream to have her own restaurant. When she lived in Mexico, she always worked at restaurants. And when we moved and she started working at that location, she told me that she sometimes, if it was slow at the restaurant, she will just pick a corner and look at the restaurant and imagine, or I guess reimagine, how it should look like, what colors, what menu, what energy she wanted if it was a restaurant. So in a way, she manifested it. And when the opportunity came in the middle of the recession, I mean, it was not the perfect time to acquire a business, but she still went for it. She knew that she wanted to. And I don't remember a single time sitting down with her and saying, "But what if you can't? But what if we fail? But what if you lose your money?" It was never that conversation. It was like, we're going to make it this fun, and we're going to make this menu, and we're going to name it this, and I have painted or pick out the color. So she had always that positive attitude of like, let's try it, that we don't have anything to lose. And so I guess that spirit, like knowing that she wanted to run a restaurant, made me think we need the tools, we need the education, we need the information. Like, I had no idea how to even register a business here in the state of Michigan. I had no idea where to go. And we received some guidance by the previous owner, but then he left, and it was like all on your own. How do you handle your payroll? How do you handle your vendors? So it was a lot of like learn while you go. But at that same time, when we took over that restaurant in 2007, I was already taking classes at GRCC. And so that helped me, apply. It was truly a time for me to, the homework was the actual restaurant, right? I had a class, now go to your business and implement accounting and implement marketing and all those things. And I refused to have a Facebook back then for the longest time until 2009, once we were open. People were like, "I can't find you on Facebook. I can, like, where's your profile?" And so back then, you couldn't have a business profile or a business page on Facebook without a personal profile. So that's when I did my personal profile on Facebook, and it was just a new world, right, of reaching customers or reaching other connections. And through the years, what happened was that many other restaurant owners that started popping up, we were not that close until we became members of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce when Carlos was there, and he invited us, like, he will visit the restaurant and he'll tell us about the benefits. So we joined, and that's when we realized, well, there's so many restaurant owners struggling, trying to find resources. And people would tell my mom, "Well, you have Paola. She helps you. You have Paola. You're doing great because you have Paola." And I'm like, well, she doesn't have me exclusively. I want to help others too. And even through the years of the restaurant, we have helped about 5 people, 5 of our team members launch their own restaurants here in town or back in their country in Mexico. Because again, going back to that value of abundance, that my mom wanted to help them as well accomplish that dream, just like she did.
I love how you said que tu mamá dijo que, like, "Oh, Paola está aquí, ya te puedo ayudar, Paola esto." Like, Hispanic, Latino parents, that's kind of like a thing, right? They do that. They
Right.
offer you up to do things
Yep.
on their behalf.
Exactly. Like, by the way, you're doing this. One time I went and worked as a server for another restaurant because the owner told my mom, "I don't have staff. I need to close down." She's like, "No, Paula's going to go and you're going to open."
I
Yeah.
love that. So on that note, so we do know that the restaurant industry is tough, and especially for immigrant business owners. So what are the biggest obstacles you've faced, and how have you navigated them? I know you talked a little bit about like the Hispanic Chamber and how that helped, and other
Mhm.
businesses being part of it, but like, what other things were you struggling with, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, absolutely. Just in general, I mean, a restaurant is one of the most expensive startups. You can invest in, because equipment is very expensive, your licenses, your permits, it's a long process. And then once you're in business, it's a very small profit margins, unfortunately. I mean, we're talking 10% or less of your revenues will actually be profit. And of course, that will take time. It's mostly the first 2-3 years will be loss, and you should be okay with that. You should be prepared for those numbers, for that statistic, through the process of having your restaurant established, getting to your customer base, all of that. It takes a lot of effort in the workforce, right? Not everyone's got to be a server, work under pressure, work long hours, be standing up for 6 or 8 hours straight. And so we see a lot of turnaround with employees, and that's dollars that you invest in your business, hiring, training them, and then they leave, and so you start all over again. So those are some of the challenges that any restaurant can see. And now with the Hispanic restaurants, the Latino owners, it's having the proper setup. We, in our Latin American countries, we see that you open your garage, you have some tables out, you start cooking, people will come, and that's your business, that's your restaurant. And here it's critical important to understand the law, understand the permits, the licensing. Even we've made mistakes, knowing all the health department inspections and all of that. So it's a lot of information. Like, if you want to start a restaurant because you love cooking, you're wrong. Probably cooking is the least that you will be doing. You'll do a ton more things. And that's why I think our restaurants has been successful for the last 18 years, because my mom's passion is cooking, so she does that, but then she doesn't take care of the behind the scenes, the payroll, the accounting, because we're a team. So we separate and divide and conquer. And so she has her accountant. We obviously have relationships with our banker. We have even acquired legal advice. So all those things external that she's not good at, that she doesn't want to deal with, you need a strong team in that sense. My husband's involved. Now my sister's rocking the catering. I mean, Chips overpassed my previous goals. She's like making double what I used to make for catering for the business. She's rock star Gabby in the business. And now my 13-year-old, now my son Alan works, and he goes Friday and Saturday and cleans up the tables. Like, you start from the beginning. You're not going to get any privileges here. You're going to make your way up in this business. And so with the Hispanic community, it's important, again, that they understand what entails hiring people, what insurance they should have, what a business bank account looks like. Those are the challenges. And I'm thankful that I'm prepared now to guide them through that process.
That's awesome, Paola. I could relate so much to you about divide and conquer a team. My son's turning 12, and they call him the mini Eduardo, the mini my dad. And it's like, they're like, oh, he's gonna take over. And in family business it's always hard, and it's like, oh, we're gonna sell, or we're gonna expand. And my son's always like, nope. Can you guys wait till I turn 18 and I'm gonna take over? So
good ambition.
I love how in family businesses you're able to just build those values. Like, I'm sure that everyone that has gone to the doors of the restaurant, and also now your children, are able to witness the values that you guys have, especially the one in abundance. So thank you for sharing that. So for anyone that's listening, that you have a family business, sometimes it's not so much about the money, is, hey, that personal development and how you're touching lives and how you're impacting generation over generation. Like you just heard Paola just explain, like her son and also my son. And it's just like that sense of gratification that you have. So let me not go overboard, because then I'll get passionate on that. But I just wanted to throw that plug in, that it's awesome to hear more people that share about what are those extra perks of having a family business. Even there, yes, there's the ugly and the pretty, pero it's fine.
Exactly.
That's a whole nother episode, right? We could do an episode about
family business. Oops, dynamic,
family dynamics in a small business. Pero with that, I mean, I think it's also empowering for the next question. Like, I know that you help a lot of small business owners, as we mentioned, and now you're like working for Grow, which is particularly like women and minority and entrepreneurs. So with that, it's like, okay, I know you focus with mostly women, helping them develop. And I know you mentioned some challenges, but in that, and from a Granjero restaurant, but can you expand a little bit of your role at Grow on like what challenges do you see the people that you're helping with? Like which ones do they face and how are you guys supporting them? So it's like for any of these women that are listening that want to start a business, they could go to Grow to Paola and you're going to tell us all about it.
Yes. So GROW is an organization that's been in the community for over 30 years. It's not new. It had a previous name, but now we go by GROW because we do serve 9 counties here in West Michigan. And also, even though as a woman business center, of course, we want to provide resources mostly to women, but anyone can come. Sometimes people say, is there a GROW for men? I'm like, we are the same. We can help you as well, minorities and diverse entrepreneurs, like you said. We noticed that throughout the years of the organization, there have been other entities, other organizations, other groups that support entrepreneurs as well. And that's what we call the ecosystem, the entrepreneur ecosystem. So the more resources we have, the better, right? It's not like one single organization can service all of our needs, all of our different requirements to be successful in business. And so what we love about, classes at Spring Yard with either a aviation hub or the Emprende, which is in Spanish, or when you become a member of the different chambers of commerce where you get, benefits being on the directory, referrals, networking opportunities. Here at GROW, our most important mission is to lend capital, as you mentioned at the beginning. We wanted to make sure that it's a responsible and accessible capital because everybody has a different story. And when we asked our Latino or diverse entrepreneurs how they, fundraise for their business, is most of the times out of pocket. So they have savings, they maybe had, tax return, a big tax return, and now they want to do something with that money. So it's usually their own money, their own capital, or coming together as a family, like, oh, my mom and my dad, or my sisters and I are getting some capital to start this business. That's what we see, and that's a beautiful thing. It's not a bad thing. However, not everybody can raise enough to start a restaurant, right? We're talking thousands, close to $100,000 to open a restaurant. And so if you don't want to risk your own capital, that's where we come in, where a loan can get you there faster. I don't have any doubts that our Latinos can make their own business happen. I've seen it. Food trucks, cleaning companies, construction, you can start a business with your own capital. But when you have a accessible and affordable capital from GROW or from another CDF5, what that means is it's going to go faster, right? You're going to get to your launch or expansion faster. And the reason we do that is because I know systems exist in place for them, diversities or undocumented, not to access traditional lending, like at a bank or a credit union. They have more strict processes. And so what we want to make sure is that the applicant is in a position to repay the debt, not only through the business, but they will be the guarantee on this loan. So we need to make sure that they do have the capacity from a personal level, out of pocket, pretty much. So when you want to invest in a business, the best thing to do is not to lose your job. I've seen many times, I quit my job and now I'm ready to start a business. But then how are you going to support your household finances? Right? I know the business is going to take time. Sometimes we underestimate how long it can really take to start the business. And so the most important thing is to know that while your best asset is your ability to generate income. So if you have a job, keep that job and then apply for a loan and then launch your business. And eventually you can be self-employed fully. Now it's time. You have those goals. I cannot tell you what number, what amount to get, what revenues or what profit margin to have. You have to figure out what's your life monthly expenses, your family's monthly expenses. You need to know that number for us to know that you make the payments eventually. And the uses are important too, right? Sometimes I've seen people draw from their retirement account, and there's penalties and there's interest charges, and then you pay that in your tax return. So know your options. I love it, like I said, when people come together and fundraise for a business. That's great. But also, if you're using somebody else's money, that means that you're not putting your own investment at risk. I mean, worst case scenario, we do prepare for worst case scenario. Closing down, business didn't launch, or you're not making enough, you have to liquidate, and you'll never get even 25, even 50% of what you invested back, but it's not going to be your own. Now you just make those loan repayments, but you still have your whatever savings you have, whatever capital you would just expend to start a business.
Thank you for sharing that information about Grow and what you do and how people can access essentially loans and be able to be involved with the organization in the community if they're ever, especially women, if they're ever interested in starting a business.
Yes.
But you've taken, so we know based on your bio and in the boards that you've been on, so we know that you've taken on leadership roles within those organizations, like, again, like Grow, like you mentioned, West Michigan Hispanic Chamber, the City Planning Commission, El Granjero, obviously your family business. So, and even the Latino initiative, right? Like that, like Rosie and I were part of, con Carlos. So, like, you taking on those roles, what drives you to be so involved in the community? Like, what's the passion?
Metiche, chismosa, yeah. You know, I've been fortunate that people think about my maybe abilities and skills to be organized, to follow up, to be accountable. And I love that, right? That's a great thing for me to know about how other people perceive me. Like, yep, she'll get the things done. And that's why most of the times it's been an invitation. It's been like people reaching out saying, will you be part of this? And so it's very important that you as an individual have your values also aligned. And that way it will be easier to make that choice, whether, you know, you want to serve this community or this board. It can be overwhelming. And so I think you have been part of the Latina network, and that was their mission, because they didn't want to be the four founders of the Latina network, didn't want to be the usual suspects everywhere, right? This board, okay, here's Melinda, and this other board, oh, here's Stacy. They wanted to spread that love because they believe in the power of all that collaboration of that group. And so to me, it was like, how can I say no? And if they invited me, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. So at one point, I had three-part jobs at the same time. Full-time student for my degree at Ferris, family mom, right? And my kid was like 2 years old. The restaurant, of course, implementing catering. So it was a lot to juggle. And of course, that's not sustainable. And so having my values clear of what I wanted to really pursue made it easier to say, I appreciate your invitation to this work. However, I don't have the capacity right now, but I can introduce you to somebody else. Reach out to more people if they're interested. I have the perfect candidate, like Rosibel can be right at this group if she's interested. And so not taking everything, I value collaboration, and I didn't do it for personal gain. Like when you mentioned in my bio, the Hispanic Leadership Award from freaking Detroit Lions, I had no idea. I didn't even know that existed, and they reach out again because they see involvement and they see commitment. And to me, it was an honor. Same thing when I appear at the cover of the West Michigan magazine. Like, I had no idea. I didn't know anyone there. They reach out, and I was a little afraid, to be honest with you. I was like, oh, why me? And it's one of those things like, well, you could be the first one, but it doesn't mean that you'll be the only one. And so to me, if that's going to open a path for more Latinas to be that highlighted in this publication or receive an award, then yes, I can be the first one because I will not be the last one. And so that motivates me. It's not a personal gain. It's like what we can bring together as a group, whether it's Latino leadership through líderes, or whether it's women resources, or specifically Latina opportunities, then yes, sign me up.
I love it. I love how, what drives you is, hey, bringing others along with you. And I love how, you took that upon from other mentors that you had in your life. So they're like, hey, Paola, we're bringing you with
Mhm.
us. You're going to be the first of many. And then you're like, okay, I'm going to, even though I'm scared, I'm going to do it because I'm going to open the
Yeah.
path for others. So that leads us, to our next curiosity is that representation is powerful. So thank you so much for representing
Mhm.
all of us here in West Michigan. I know, and further on, I'm sure you have impacted even more Latinas outside of West Michigan. Pero in general, as a Latina business leader, how do you navigate spaces where you might be the only one in the room? Like, tell us the dates.
I think it's important to just remind ourselves that it could be one thing, your identity. Like, I didn't know I was a Latina until I moved to outside of Mexico, right? When you're in your country, everybody's like Mexican. There's not a lot of diversity, or at least I didn't encounter that. So everybody's Mexican, everybody's the same. And so when you come here, I was at Union High School, and people introduce like, oh, this is such and such from Dominican Republic, and this is whoever from Venezuela, from Colombia. So I started to get exposed to people from different countries and being curious about, tell me about your, your customs, your food, your music, everything. And so then you become a Latina. I wasn't Latina in Mexico, right? It's outside of our own countries that we become this identity. Like, now you're a Latina, Latinx, whatever you want to call it. And so to me, it's important to remind ourselves that that's an asset that you get when you're outside of your country. And also to balance that, you bring your own personality, which is two different things, right? You could be a Latina that maybe doesn't want to help other Latinas. So that is not about that cultural aspect. It's about your own personality and identity, right? And so to me, going back to values, know what those values are and understand that it could take time, it will take connections, it will take, try and fail to get to you want to go, but also know your goal. When I was working with Carlos at the Hispanic Chamber, he knew that I was so hard on myself because I didn't have my degree. And he was like, well, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to complain your whole life? And I'm like, you're right. I think I need to go back to school. So that's when I went to Ferris. And same with even working at Grow. It was the middle of the pandemic, a lot of tension, a lot of uncertainty in the economy with small businesses, navigating resources, open your dining room, close your dining room, open it again, and save distance, and all those things that it looks like a blur. It's been 5 years, and understanding that more people needed information. That's when I realized, yeah, I'm not exclusive to El Granjero. I want to help others. And that's when I wanted to launch my own consulting firm. I'm gonna structure this. I'm gonna learn. I even registered for Spring Year Emprende at the Hispanic Center. I'm gonna take this class. Even though I have my degree, I'm like, I'm going back to school for business so that I can help more people. But of course, I need to pay the bills as well. And not only, I can get paid in tacos or tamales, but I need some cash flow in this business. And I was exploring that when everything happened with the pandemic. So that even more clear that I really wanted to be someone to guide other entrepreneurs and learn along the way. That's when Melinda, who had become the CEO for Grow, reached out and like, I know you want to do this. Why don't you come to Grow? Because we can employ you and you'll provide those services to entrepreneurs at no cost. And I'm like, sign me up. That's a good deal. And that's, it's been almost 4 years that I've been at Grow as a bilingual business advisor, officer, whatever you want to call it. I just want to make sure that you make your business dream come true.
I love that. I love the fact that you are bringing other women along with you, especially Latina women's. And I think this is a perfect segue to the next question because I feel like a lot of Latinas, especially those that are bilingual, right? Or like immigrants that their first language is Spanish, not English, y tenemos acento y todo eso, right? So, what advice would you give to Latinas who feel like they don't belong in business or leadership roles?
We often talk about that fear of calling
Imposter
yourself
syndrome.
a business owner.
Imposter
Yes,
syndrome.
exactly. And I lived it with my mom. When we first opened the restaurant, she will go to a meeting, to a networking event, and she will never say she was the owner. She's like, "Oh, I work at El Granjero, or I work in." Someone called her out. It's like, "You're the owner. You can call yourself CEO, president, jefa, whatever you want to do, but just own your title." And it was like, "Oh, I'm scared." So is you need to put yourself in that position. You need to visualize and even manifest, like my mom did, like, one day I'll own this restaurant, I'm gonna make these changes, and this is my menu. Like, truly have that idea. And that's where also Grow comes in, because we do provide business plan classes. So a business plan is your guide, is like all the ideas you have here and those conflicts. Do I do it? Do I not do it? Just put it on paper. Let's see how realistic it could be. Let's look at those numbers. Who's going to be your customer? Everybody's like, "Oh, I'll sell to everyone." Well, not everyone will buy from you. So getting that, again, that sense of like truly a steps, a structure for your business. So you need to see yourself in that position. And maybe it's not being a business owner, maybe it's something else, whatever title, whatever career, or leadership role that you're looking at. You do need to see yourself in that position. Otherwise, you have, like you said, Jatna, that impression like, I don't belong. And I did that to myself as well. Like I said, it was really hard. Like, I don't have a degree. I'm not that worthy. I'll be a secretary in at the Hispanic Chamber for the rest of my life. And it's not that it's a bad thing. My mom raised us to believe that every work has dignity. Como dice en español, todo trabajo es digno. It doesn't matter if you're cleaning restrooms, it's a job and you need to do it well. And you have to be the best at it, no matter what it is. So you put yourself in that role, like what I want to do and how I'm going to accomplish that. So those were the moments that taught me that, yes, I need to say that you like for the longest time. And that's funny because people think that I'm the owner. Now people will introduce me like, she's the owner of a girl. Like, I'm not the owner. I'm an employee. I'm an employee. I'm not even the payroll right now. I'm not even an employee. And so it's just like owning it. So I'm really proud. I'm really proud to say that I'm a bilingual business counselor for other diverse and Latino entrepreneurs, because that's my motivation. I do want that accountability to them. I want that education and information resource for them. I want to provide those services. And what better way that it's not through charging them and not to, making them doubt of their dreams, but just structuring and putting it in paper is really important.
I love that, Paola. I've always admired you, but now it's like more because I would agree. Like you and I have similar passions, and I don't know if it becomes from, just growing up in family businesses, but I love identifying people's talents and passions and motivating them to start their side hustle or a business. So I love how you're doing that. I didn't know that side of you. So it's like, yeah, you see little bits and pieces on social media and your articles, but I love hearing it firsthand from you. It's all coming together. But with that, and this is the part that I've always tried to figure out from you, and that I admire you the most, is how you balance being a mother, a business owner, a community leader, a wife, a great daughter, all of the above. Like, how do you do it all? Like the balancing, and also like, how do you fit in self-care in there for you? Like, what does self-care look like to you?
Yeah. Knowing that being involved, that providing a service, gives me energy, gives me the motivation. It doesn't feel like work. And there are tedious tasks at my job, like database and counting the hours I spend counseling people. That's boring. I want to be on the field, helping more people. And so everybody has 24 hours a day. Everybody does. When I first started at Grow, I've always liked exercise. I love, working out. I've done some 5Ks in the community. I love running. And so I wanted to be active. And so when I was my own boss, right, I had my schedule. And so I will always go to the YMCA in the afternoon or in the evening. But as my time would grow, took more, a structure like 9 to 5, which is what I wanted. I realized that I can no longer go to the Y in the afternoon. And so I made the switch. And in 2022, I started going to the Y, which is my self-care, my relieve the stress, gain energy, mental health, many, many benefits at 5 a.m. There was no other way. And I hated waking up so early. I remember the first few days, I will just make such black coffee and drink it on my way there until you get adjusted. And now I cannot stop. I feel bad if I don't go one day at 5 a.m. And it's not just me. I mean, people is like, oh, you're crazy. But at least I know there's 100 more people crazy at that YMCA that go at 5 a.m. I'm not the only one. And so knowing that I get my workout in the morning, I can get ready and then go home and take care of the morning routine. And now the cows start kids, get ready for school, and here's your breakfast, and where's your homework, and driving to school. And then I get to the office, and I've been awake for 5 hours. I'm going to be more productive. I'll be more, I have my to-do list. I'll make some calls, hang out with the team. And so that was a priority. I didn't want to lose that because then I knew I was going to be sad, upset, and gaining weight with all the tacos and tamales from my clients and cakes. And so, yeah, you have to prioritize. You have to sleep at least 8 hours a day, and then you work at least 8 hours a day. So what else are you going to do with those 8 hours? If it seems like, oh, there's no time. Melinda always talks about how we misuse the word busy. Busy is not an excuse to not do something. You can be busy on your phone and not productive. You can be busy on a computer and don't get things done. But you could be productive, happy, and one of the things that I tell people is you need to zoom out. Don't look at it as a day by day. Look at it by week or by month. Out of this month, how much time did I spend with my family? How much time am I going to spend maybe with my husband or with whatever it is? So if you assign time in per month, then it's easier because you can schedule ahead. Hey, I haven't seen you in a while. Let's grab coffee. We plan for next month and hopefully it happens. I know, sometimes other things come up, but at least you plan it and then you do it and then you don't feel bad oh, every day I have to meet someone for coffee. That's impossible. But at least, once or twice per month, I get to hang out with people and it's not going to be productive. It's not going to be work. It's going to be just relax and talk about whatever we want or go out for a drink. And I think that aspect of the sisterhood was really relevant for the Latina network when it started 10, 11 years ago to really seek out and not be shy because even though you think, oh, I'm popular and I'm everywhere, that's not my personality. I am really shy and introvert. That's my nature. Sometimes I do put on the face I'm going to be this, especially in front of your team when you're a business owner, navigating many challenges. You have to be the authority or, the leader. But in reality, I think that I always joke with Melinda, when I came to grow, I was like, I'm tired of leading. I'm tired of being my own boss. Please tell me what to do. I needed that structure. So again, find that structure for you. Come join me at 5 a.m. for a workout if you're there. It'll be fun, I promise. But that's how you find balance, by giving priority, not in a day-to-day, but at least in a weekly or monthly basis so that it's easier to manage.
I love that. I love how you're saying you can be busy is not an excuse, right? You could be busy doing things that are not necessarily, they're keeping you busy, but they're not productive type of busy. So you can do other things and you have those 8 hours in addition to your job and having those 8 hours of sleep, you're able to do other things. So how do you impact, how do you make an impact with that additional 8 hours that you have? Also knowing that you have your family and your kids and you also have to fit that in, right? Because that's important too. But we've gotten to the last question of the interview with you, Paola, but this question is more about, so we've already talked to you about overcoming challenges and like all the things that you do daily with your life and being a leader and a wife and all the hats that you wear. So at the end of the day, cuando Paola muera en el futuro, like in a like far, far away future, what's the legacy you hope to leave behind?
Oh my God, this is a tough question, and I probably don't have the answer, but I know maybe it's easier sometimes to tell you what I don't want. What I don't want to leave behind is that sense of competition. A restaurant is very competitive, that's for sure. And when we come together as a group, as an industry, it's more powerful. I believe in that. I believe in that collaboration. Like I said, my mom even helped people launch their own restaurant here in town because that was a dream. And again, that cycle of abundance and not of like me, I should take, yeah, you can have some, but don't have more than me. No. To me, if you have the ambition of creating $1 million company, I'll be the first one to be there for you and to support you because I believe in that power, that ripple effect. And sometimes I might not have all the answers, but I will encourage you that sometimes we only need that accountability. If you tell someone about your dream or your goal of your whatever achievement you want to accomplish, they will keep you accountable, right? They'll ask you here and there, hey, what about this project? Hey, how's the progress? Not to bug you, but to make you accountable. So we need that. And sometimes you can just vent out. So the legacy that I don't want is for people to think that I only created that future or that success for myself. That will never be the case. So I'm still trying to figure out what's the best value or legacy that I will leave my children or other Latinas, my family. It's hard. It's hard to know, but I do not want to be, well, she didn't really help someone, or she failed me, she didn't follow up, she didn't give me this information. That will never be me. So please, if you need resources, do come to me. I'll be happy to even guide you to the right connection. Like I said, I don't have all the answers. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an accountant, but I can give you the referrals, right, that you need. So again, back to that support network and sisterhood amongst Latinas, amongst other business owners, amongst restaurant owners. I want to be for them, being authentic, and I genuinely care. It's not about personal gain. I do care about community, and so that's what keeps me, every day motivated to come back to work, even though right now it's challenging, and not because of my team or my leadership, which we respect and admire a lot. It's because of the political environment. And so I understand if people feel scared right now and uncertain, I'm there too. But then coming together, we can figure out ways to overcome those. Again, if I can describe my work ethic, will be that collaboration. It's not about personal gain.
I love that. I feel like I see Paola's personal brand as El Sol Sale para Todos because of her values of abundance. Thank you so much, Paola. Where can do we just find you on Facebook and LinkedIn as Paola Mendivil, and then we'll add your email address on the show notes. But is there any plugin you want to add of where people can find you?
Yeah, probably the growbusiness.org page has my contact information, a little bio, my picture. On LinkedIn, of course, Paola Mendivil, yes.
All right, awesome. So I always leave homework to our listeners. So I just want to say thank you to everyone for tuning in. Thank you so much, Paola. It was really inspiring, and love to hear all the different hats that you wear and that you're just a badass in our community. So for you that are listening, if you know of anyone, or if it's you that are thinking of starting a business or already have a business and want to grow it, please reach out to Paola. As you heard, like, this is something that a woman full of values that she has been able to bring. It's ingrained from her from generations prior. So it has been from generations to generations to generations. So this is not just something that she's like, oh, I'm going to be a woman of abundance. Like, no, this is something that she has carried over. So as you've been listening, like this is someone that you would definitely want to have the connection with. And she is definitely a connector. So as you've been hearing her say, she may not have all the answers for you at the moment, but she will definitely know who to connect you with. So please reach out to Paola. We'll be leaving out the show in the show notes her contact information. And like she said, her passion is to make your business dream come true. So if that's you that want your business to come true, or you know someone, this is your girl. And also, I loved how Paola was able to say, hey, self-care and being able to juggle it all is not a thing day by day. So for us women that, our podcast focuses a lot on self-care is there's also something I just learned from Paola is you don't have to say like, oh, I did a self-care day by day. I can plan it out on a weekly basis or a monthly basis, and that doesn't feel as overwhelming. And also for us working moms, sometimes we have that mom guilt. So it doesn't feel like, oh my gosh, I don't have anything fun planned out with my kids this weekend. But I'm looking at my calendar, and out of the 4 weekends in a month, there's one weekend that for sure it's all about them. So I want you to also take that away of sit down and write down at least by a week or by a month, like Paola does, to write out, hey, what does self-care mean to you? And also what fills up your cup? Like, hey, really fills up my cup having family time or going out with some friends or just having some time alone. So with that, those are like great takeaways I had. I have more takeaways. I could be here a long time closing, but definitely those were the top two of reaching out to Paola or sending someone that you know that is starting or growing their business, and also all the things that she gave on self-care and also the importance of community. So thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to share this episode and leave us a review on Apple and Spotify podcasts. Gracias y hasta luego. La próxima. Chao.
Bye.